Technology has come a long way, hasn't it? These days, one of these is usually reserved for when we have a power cut or we want to have a romantic dinner. Well, someone I know has been known to say, I don't know what's romantic about not being able to see what's on your plate. But the whole idea of darkness and light so often being used to represent good or evil, fun or fear, and even life and death is interesting, isn't it? Light can be so evocative and set a mood, and yet so essential to everyday tasks too. My name is Ian Currey, and this is Thinking Out Loud. Come on, let me tell you what I think.
Do you want to go in the golf cart?
Hello. Light is funny stuff, isn't it? It's one of my favorite things to think about in science. There are so many aspects and variations, colors, facets, and even implications to just about everything we do. And while at the same time, it holds mysteries that boggle the minds of even the cleverest scientists. I think I might be more interested in light because it relates to both radio and, of course, photography, two of the things that, other than trains, I'm most interested in. Radio, but that's for another day. Right at the beginning there, did you notice how much impact one match had? But if I strike another one here in the bright light, it will have far less impact. It's still the same light. It's just that there's other bright lights around, and the conditions around it make it have far less impact, so it's very different. Did you know that our eyes see things in color by mixing just 3 colors? It took scientists a very long time to work that out, and then they adapted their knowledge for use in color television. But more on that later. Our eyes just get on with things and work out what's there. And they do it so very well, don't they? Well, mostly. Some of us have to wear glasses to fix things a little. And others, of course, they suffer from various vision difficulties of one sort or another. I have a very good friend who is colorblind. And really that just means he can't see one of the 3 colors that our eyes use to make up the colors that we see around us. What he sees would look a little bit like this. Strange, right? But while that seems strange to most of us, it's perfectly normal for him, and he doesn't know what the other colors are that he's missing. He wouldn't know what they would look like, I don't suppose. Our eyes usually make up for all the colors we see by combining red, blue, and green in a variety of combinations. Now with TV and computers, we haven't quite got it right yet, but then scientists have only been successfully working on that for less than 100 years or so. One of these days, we'll have to dig into how TV signals work. But for today, let's stay focused on how we capture, split, and recombine those 3 colored images that work so well with our eyes. This thingy, strange looking thing, isn't it? Came out of an old TV camera. A candle has a nice white flame, so let's use one of those. The front of the camera, where the lens would have been, is right there, where the candle is. The light from the candle goes in through the hole and is captured by the 3 separate cameras, all looking at the same thing. But first, a special mirror just reflects blue light, which then bounces out of the first hole there. And that's the one at the top. And then that camera picks up only the blue part of the picture. That special mirror only reflects the blue part of the picture, leaving the other colors to pass through. That light would look yellow. The next mirror will reflect red light, leaving just green light to pass through it. And it's going on its way to the middle camera there. Red light will be reflected by its special mirror to head on to the bottom hole there for the red camera to look at. If we take a look in the 3 holes where the 3 special cameras would be, we can see the candle as either red, green or blue. That's clever, huh? It's a bit complicated, isn't it? But in the end, 3 different images that look a bit like this are captured, sent whizzing through the air or cables to your TV or monitor, and there they're recombined in a clever way to trick your eyes to think they're seeing a color picture. So far, scientists haven't found a better way to do this, and so a variation of this strange technology is how you're looking at this video right now. Now, instead of taking time to work out how it all works, I could have just dismissed it or convinced myself it wasn't even real. After all, it really isn't essential to know how an RGB signal works to enjoy an episode of Thinking Out Loud, is it? And you can see the screen that uses the technology without understanding it. This week I flew to London and back and had time just about to take a long walk. It was a long walk though, I must say. My walk included passing through Hyde Park, where Speaker's Corner can be found. It's a fascinating place if you've never been there. It's where people can get up and say just about anything they like. There are all sorts of interesting ideas that people come up with, and some that aren't quite so interesting. Some, of course, are highly contentious, and others are just, well, silly. This time, though, there were several groups of people loudly proclaiming their own religious views. Now, that's not unusual, and there's often a lot of people there, but I was very surprised to find a lot of discussion going on about the Trinity and about if Jesus was God and how can God be 3 things at once. It's a very unusual discussion to be having in a park. Personally, I think perhaps acting on the things we do understand and following the instructions we know God gave us, like loving one another, for example, might be more useful. But it is true that God often likened himself to light and talks about letting our light shine, isn't it? I must say that while I was walking in the park that day, I did think of this weird thingy and how it shows 3 different aspects of the same thing. Now, the Apostle John recorded something Jesus said about light in John chapter 12. It's a very interesting chapter, but it will certainly take a couple of reads to get your head around. Let me show you just a little bit. Jesus replied, "My light will shine for just a little longer. Walk in the light while you can, so the darkness will not overtake you. Those who walk in darkness cannot see where they are going. Put your trust in the light while there is still time. Then you will become children of the light." After saying these things, Jesus went away and was hidden from them. Acting on the parts of what God says that we do understand is perhaps a good place to start before trying to figure out some of the more complicated aspects of theology and so on. There are some lovely technical representations of 3-in-1 in various parts of the study of light, and especially how we see color. Sometimes, just because something is hard to understand, we dismiss it or decide it's not for me. Instead of doing that, I love to take what is understandable and build from that. Now, eventually, all sorts of things become clear if we are willing to take the first steps of faith. Just like physics and science, faith can be just like that too. Taking a step and building on it, rather than throwing it all out because we don't understand it. It is so much less of a jump if we do it one step at a time, isn't it? After all, if we understood it all, now it wouldn't be called faith, now would it? Now, if you've enjoyed these videos, pass them on to your friends so they can enjoy them too. Until next time, goodbye.